So, I didn't know LPS anteaters existed until I was an adult. This is just a weird intro to say, I'm talking about G7 LPS. I'll start this off by saying this is a very unscripted, spur of the moment video. I just want a spot to talk about, the G7 since I don't have LPS socials anymore. So it's basically, just this channel, but also I just want to talk about G7s. I remember seeing leaks of the G7 LPS coming back in late 2023, and I remember being kind of surprised and taken off guard because at that point I hadn't really thought about LPS and such in years. So seeing them come back, really cool to see. The first point is the obvious, the old molds are back, plus some brand new molds that are in the old style. Even though I have been and still am a defender of G4 LPS, I think it's fantastic that the old molds are finally back, especially after the community has been clamoring for them to return. And for me, I actually grew up with the old styles. These are two of my oldest LPS that I still have. I think this is my first non-McDonald's pet over here. And I do eventually want to get a non-scuffed version of this one, but that's beside the point. The fact that I have these still around, two pets that are practically old enough to vote if they were humans, and I can still collect new LPS in the same or similar style, honestly kind of mind-boggling to me. Also, hi, Nat and Post here. Just wanted to pop in to say that in going unscripted, I ended up leaving out that the next section refers to the blind boxes and not the whole line. But I guess to be fair, the blind boxes are a good baseline for what you get and everything, the pet, the car, the Roblox code, and the accessory, which for some reason I left out even though I have it off to the side here. But yeah, I guess the next section is more of using the blind boxes as a baseline for what you generally get and everything. I don't know. Back to the video. I'll start off my thoughts on G7s, with some of the stuff I've noticed with the unboxings. The first obvious thing they have in the package is, the pet themselves. And also, what I find really interesting is they're leaning into, the collector's cards and collectability aspect and the Roblox tie-in. I am not that familiar with collector's card type stuff, so I can't really comment that much on it, but I do think it's a really nice add-in to have a little tiny piece of artwork. I really like this pic. I might actually redraw it if I feel like it later on. Though the one thing I don't get right now about the cards so far is the rarity system. According to the insert, the anteater is supposed to be a rare pet, but let's be real, as soon as they drop big fives, this system is going out the window. So my assumption as of right now is maybe it might play into a trading card game type thing, but again, complete outsider to this kind of stuff. And then there's the Roblox code, which I'm gonna keep hidden because I do want to eventually check out what this game is. It's, as from what I've seen, it's not really the type of game that I play, but I think it'd still be nice to check it out on a rainy day to see what it is. I do want to gush about these a little bit more later on in the video, so I guess I'll start this off with some criticisms that I have going into this wave. The first one that I noticed off the bat based off other people's videos and with the pets that I have in person is a little bit of quality inconsistency. I know squishiness is a main thing that a lot of people are pointing out, and I found that varies different from pet to pet. For a comparison, this is my chameleon and this is my tube lucky cat. This chameleon is a bit on the squishy side. If you can see that, I hope it picks up on camera. But this one is a lot more firm, you really have to press hard to squish it. But at the same time, I feel this is less of an issue because we were told going into this wave that the quality of the materials would differ from the originals. And even so, it's not something you notice unless you're intentionally squishing it or you've been collecting LPS for a long time. And I don't think most people, when handling their LPS, are going to be squishing them, so I guess it's like a small point for me. The other point that I want to go over is paint quality issues, which I'm not sure if they show up on camera because I've been having trouble like getting this thing to like focus where I want it to. But this one has a little bit of faded paint down here, and like a lot of people have been pointing out graininess in the eyes, which I have noticed more noticeably on like other pets, but not on some others, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like graininess is more noticeable on darker colored bases. Like this Lucky Cat, which again, my camera's having trouble focusing. I don't really see it as much because like it's white on white base. But this one, you can see it's slightly translucent. The pink of the base is like showing through. I might take some photos outside and slide them into the video so I can actually like focus and like get a clearer view of what I mean, but more of the base is poking through. But I feel like this is also a minor issue and more of a wait and see thing, because this is the first wave of G7s that we're seeing. I feel like a lot of people also forgot that G4, with all of its inconsistency problems, did pick up by the later waves. Like, these are earlier wave G4s, and these are later wave G4s. And if G4s were able to like clean up their quality consistency issues by the end and into G6, then I don't really have any doubts that G7 will eventually have cleaned up their paint job issues. A lot of people, myself included, have been noticing that compared to like older waves, they have a very distinct plastic smell to them. To me, they remind me kind of like rubber duck toys, if that makes sense. Like, I remember for my two pets when I got them, because these were the first of the G7s that I got. I love them, but I definitely had to air these out before I started handling them because they had a really strong plastic smell. Yeah, so if you do have sensitivity to smell, having them air out like away from your main area for like a few days will get it to tone down, and I think by now, let me check. Yeah, it's really not that present unless you shove your face next to them. Though I will say, the blind box pets that I got were far less smelly when I unboxed them compared to the tube pets. I wonder if that might have something to do with the fact they have so little plastic wrapped around them. But yeah, just something to be aware of if you are sensitive to that kind of stuff. But now, let's get back to gushing about these pets because I adore them and I feel like a lot of my criticisms might be growing pains. I think one of the biggest points of praises for me, which I know some people have been criticizing the new wave for it, but I think this is fantastic. Most of the molds that I've been seeing are like more obscure ones that in the old ways have seen like very few or like only special releases. Like, I think the only chameleon from the old ways that got released was actually a special edition pet, so seeing it as like a regular release pet is cool. And I think what's really cool about this to me personally is all of the pets that I have here on display right now are pets that I've never owned before. I mean, I started off this video by saying I didn't even know an anteater even existed until I was an adult. And the fact that going into this wave, most of what I'm seeing is like brand new to me is just so cool. I don't think I know how to properly express it. Like, this is picking up where I left off as a kid. I do highly appreciate that entering this wave, we're not seeing that much waste from like what we get from the blind boxes and such. I do appreciate that there's like way less plastic. Like, first off, it's cardboard. I got rid of the tissue in there, but there's like tissue and no like plastic in there, which I think is kind of a good thing. Less microplastics, I guess. But the fact that the focal point of the package is back on the LPS is fantastic, because I don't feel like I'm spending most on the unboxing experience that's not gonna matter like 12 years from now. One thing I am a bit mixed on going into this wave is the fact that personality marks are integrated in the design now, as opposed to only their eye shapes. Like, I think only the pandas so far have it in their eyes. Yeah, for reference, this is a G2 rabbit that I've been keeping on my desk lately. Cuddliest eye shape. She does also have like some of it integrated in her design, which I think is really nice. I think it's a really nice idea because like it's really subtle, like you don't know unless you look really up close, like this is a normal bird and oh, it's also fancy. But also, maybe this is the illustrator talking in me, but I feel like it could eventually become like a design limiter if it sticks too hard, if that makes any sense. Yeah, for example, this iguana, I personally don't like how they integrated the personality mark in because it's kind of like just a slapped on chest mark. But honestly, this is more of a nitpick of mine because I feel like for a good chunk of them, it is integrated well, but then there's some where you just like have the thing slapped on there because they needed to tell you that this is like sassy or whatnot. And to round this off, new molds. Like, the fact that we're not just getting re-releases of old molds, but are also starting off with like new molds is really nice. Like, I know some people have been mixed on the axolotl because he does look a bit derpy, but I like him. I support him. And also, this one specifically kind of reminds me of Jeffrey the giraffe. I think it's a star pattern, honestly. So far into the new wave, I'm pretty sure the only new molds that we've been seeing are the axolotl and I think the French bulldog from the playset. Yeah, but I do hope that this means we are going to see a lot more new molds in this wave. Like, I think it would be really cool if we could have like dedicated zebra mold that isn't just printed on a horse. I guess I'll wrap this up here. In the end, I am very glad that old style LPS are back and that I can continue collecting new ones into adulthood. And I don't really have LPS socials anymore, like I said in the beginning, so best to subscribe and ring the bell if you want to like keep up with me and plastic animals.